Hello, my name is Mahecha, and today I will be presenting using prosody to resolve syntactic ambiguity in speech production. So what is prosody? Prosody is the linguistic structure expressed in the suprasegmental properties of utterances as defined by Cutler in 2012. So these suprasegmental properties are also referred to as prosodic cues, and they include things such as pitch, tempo, loudness, and timing patterns. So why prosody is so interesting and oftentimes very difficult to look at is that it is poorly integrated into speech processing models. So oftentimes, research cannot mimic human conversation, which is why our study is so interesting, because we really try to replicate that in order to have an accurate understanding of how prosody plays a role in just normal human discourse. So in our study, we asked participants to act out or mimic human conversation to the best of their ability while going through a PowerPoint presentation via BlueJeans. Audacity was used to record the conversation through the participants' ends in order to receive a higher quality of sound. And then once we received those Audacity files, we imported them into Pratt, and we used Pratt software to annotate and analyze the recordings. In this study, we focused specifically on how duration impacts human discourse, and especially looking at early and late juncture sentence pairings, which basically just has to do with how you time your spacing and your pausing when you're talking, and how that can impact the meaning of the sentence. So in this study, we looked at 20 participants, and in order to be eligible to participate, they had to be native English speakers, so born in the United States, and then their dominant language must be English. Due to COVID-19, this study was conducted online. Participants, like I mentioned before, recorded through using Audacity on their end, and then I shared my screen and just ran through the presentation with each participant, and it was a total of 40 slides. Each slide looks very similar to the ones, as you can see on the left side of the poster. There are graphics, there's a title in bold and underlined, and then right below the pictures, there's a script, and that was the conversation that we would engage in. So once participants had 20 seconds to observe the situation, really look at the slides, and once those 20 seconds were up, I started the conversation. Like I said, they had to mimic and pretend that they were acting out the slides, and the goal of the participant was to clarify the situation to the best of their ability to me, to make sure that I had a thorough understanding of what was going on. And then once we received the recordings, we segmented each file into trials, items, words, and sonorants. Pauses were specifically labeled in the word tier, which was then extracted to compare duration between each sentence pairing. So an example of a sentence pairing is one that you can see in the middle of the screen. Simon gave dog biscuits to Mary is very similar looking, but different in meaning to Simon gave biscuits to Mary's dog. So it's very interesting to see how the wordplay, it's a very similar word, but very different in meaning. And so what we found was that pause number 1 and the word her are longer in the early juncture sentence than in the late juncture sentence. And pause 2, and in this case, dog, is longer in the late juncture sentence than in the early juncture sentence. In fact, pause number 2 was 0 in the early juncture sentence. So as you can see, when referring to Simon gave dog biscuits to Mary, the participant said her dog biscuits. So there's a pause right there. So after conducting all of this research, unfortunately, due to time constraints, we weren't able to complete a statistical analysis of the data. Nonetheless, after annotating every single file, we found in our preliminary qualitative analysis that there's a similar pattern throughout the data. Like I mentioned, the pauses are different in each sentence, in each sentence pairing, depending on what the reader is trying to convey. And therefore, duration is used to parse sentences and resolve syntactic ambiguities. Ultimately, we found that prosody cues are central to sentence comprehension. And it would be very interesting to look at how other prosodic cues, such as pitch, are used to resolve these syntactic ambiguities. Additionally, it would be great if we could replicate this particular study in person and use eye tracking technology to see if that would support or refute our original finding. So ultimately, our current data demonstrates that duration is an important cue in everyday discourse. I would like to thank PURM for the opportunity to work alongside researchers this past summer. I would like to specifically thank John Truswell for allowing me to use his lab and for the constant guidance. Martin Ip, he was my mentor throughout the entire summer, and then also Jijing Kwan for giving us her linguistics expertise in the psychology/linguistics study. Thank you so much.